No. It's like when the living word becomes alive, it does not stop.
Yeah.
Such an awesome place.
An hour sermon can fly by.
Yeah. I sit with, I find I'm never bored. I'm like, I just want the word. And we've got so much electronic stuff and so easy, But I would say, draw timelines, understand why this book was written where. After all these years, I've just been through the book of Isaiah and I'm like, oh my word. And I take one chapter and I read it 6 times. I'm like, I never saw this. Why does it jump out now? Because I'm in the word. The word is in me.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm separated and I have my mind and I have the knowledge and I know what it says. Streets of gold that are clear as crystal. It means it's a way of holiness that is see-through, that I do not have to hide anything because there is nothing to hide. It's all open and free. I was just like last week. I'm doing this Mark of the Beast thing. You'll see it's all on my YouTube. And I'm like, Mark of the Beast, but God marked these people the way you think, the way you do. And then I read about the mark of God. Revelation 10. Here is the angel, which is Jesus Christ. Eyes like fire, hair like wool, white, legs like clouds, and round his head is a rainbow. And God said to me, that is my mark. I went back to the rainbow. He said, I'll put a bow in the sky so I will remember. I will never do that again because we are going on to perfection. And I'm like, I love rocks. And I've always thought, these rocks that the priests wore and the ephod, they're all these different rocks, colors. And I've read a lot about it, but everything I read,
paid attention to it.
No, it doesn't come up. And all of a sudden, I realized, he says, I am the rock that followed them. But the rock is the rainbow.
Yeah.
The rainbow is in the sky because his word is forever settled in the heavens, but it's set in rock. And the foundation stones of the New Jerusalem is this colored rocks. The rainbow is rock solid. This is our foundation, what is on his head. I'm like, get out of the mark of the beast. And we haven't even got it. And please go check my stuff. It's Vespasian. It's Antiochus Nero Vespasian. I try to say that, when we explain the Bible, we mustn't explain this Bible with nowadays history. There was history there, of course. If you read it from Daniel to Revelation all took place in the time of Rome. So what we have is a history book. If you want to treat it as a history book, stay in the history. You can't change history.
Of that time.
Oh, you can't smash up history. Yeah. You can't change times. Yeah. So then there's this realm where we read the Bible, which is the application of the Spirit, where I would say 98% of preaching is there because we take the word and we apply it in the Spirit all the time. How this is, and you can take it from everywhere. And I would say that it's not wrong. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it has blocked us to understand the ultimate purpose of the word.
Yeah.
And that is when you take the history, the application of the Spirit, everything, and understand the purpose of God.
Yeah.
So most people, if you read Revelation, he says, if you do not this, your candle will be removed. It doesn't say you're going to hell. It doesn't say I'm going to destroy you.
Your life will be removed.
Your life is going to go over without you ever reaching your purpose. There is something God has purposed me for.
Yeah.
After my life, what I say with quivers, to understand that God has a purpose for me now. So I can sit in my situation and totally miss what God has done. So I remember He was sat and he was looking up like that, and he looked at me. I'm like, hey, what are you seeing? And I'm like, I've heard stories like that. I don't. Now, this is just before he passed on. I'm like, hey, jy bly net hier. And one day, he did it again, but he tried to give me a flat ignore. And he turned to me and he said, you're going to preach Revelation like no one has ever. I'm like, you're going to live and I'm going to make tea. And it's only 2-3 years after that, after I started reading Bible, I remembered that. So there's a purpose for everyone. You see, and many times our purpose, when he was alive, I was there doing what I needed to do. But if I get stuck in my situation and not let the word become alive, I'm going to miss my purpose for now. And my candle will be removed without me ever reaching my purpose.
Yeah.
But God will use someone else.
Yeah, of course.
His word will prosper.
Yeah.
And this is what we see in history. I mean, they came and they went, they came and they went. But God does what he wants.
Correct.
He said from the beginning.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow. It's so exciting to hear you chat.
Yeah, it's good.
I wish we had more time to lay down video, because I can tell you now we could sit here till tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
But it's so encouraging, and I think the people have got something to go and do.
Yeah, I would just say that. You should start reading Bible.
Simple, yeah. Start reading Bible.
Stop saying you want to read Bible. Stop feeling guilty. The kingdom is righteousness, peace, and joy. Start enjoying it.
Yeah.
Read.
Yeah, just read Bible. Take a pen. Take a notebook.
Draw a
Scribble
timeline.
things down. Make lines. Make notes. Get colored pencils. Anything. Just do something. Draw pictures.
It's all connected.
Yeah, because eventually in the time space that's allocated to you, you will mesh it together.
Yeah.
And you will get revelation.
It will jump on you.
Correct. It like pops.
There's one thing that popped on me. I'll explain to you how I never, ever, I really am not I would rather be out on the bikes or something, So this whole book of Song of Solomon, I never got it. I'm like, what is wrong with Solomon? 1,000 wives. And I realized, oh my gosh, here is this king that threw him into everything that man wants. And he says, it's all vanity. But then he writes Song of Solomon. And God says to me, a king. They wanted a king. Here's the king that he wanted wisdom, and he landed with what? He messed it all up. But he never lost the hunger that humanity has.
Yeah.
So the whole Song of Solomon is a song of, my beloved, where's my beloved?
Yeah.
And then I decided I'm going to read it now, because I'm now reading Bible. I came to chapter 2, verse 8. I fell off the chair because I have now been reading Bible. Now all of a sudden you read this one and it just opens up a whole.
Yeah.
So he says, my beloved comes leaping over the mountains, skipping over the hills. And I saw it. Ararat. He started the new day on a mountain, but it went down. But then he found Abraham. Mount Moriah. Guys, Jesus was crucified on the same place as Isaac. So it went a full cycle.
Yeah.
But he came running over the mountains. And because I know it now, it's Moses, show me your glory on Mount Nebo. On a Horeb.
Yeah.
And then the promised land, Nebo. And then they didn't want to receive it. They made their promised land a wilderness. And he wouldn't stop. Here is Elijah on Carmel.
Yeah.
And here's the Mount of Transfiguration, Moses and Elijah.
Yeah.
You see the workings.
All the mountain.
And here comes Armageddon, the high place, to bring us to the city set on a hill where the beloved found his bride.
Yeah.
I'm like, I lay down on the floor all night, just like,
yeah.
and it's like he brings it together.
Yeah.
Please just be like a computer that allows the Spirit to bring the things together.
Yeah.
But if you don't read,
You can't put it
bring it.
together.
Yeah.
And you, as we sang, if you don't read with a notebook and a pen and make notes, even if it's crazy, stupid notes,
Yeah.
make notes, because reading Song of Solomon way down the line is going to freak you out, because you've made notes about all the mountains. You've made notes about all the fires. You've made notes, and at the end of the day, there's a love scene. And the unfortunate part of that whole love scene was Christ putting his arms out on the cross and dying for us. That was the biggest love scene that we could ever see. And I think that's the whole love scene of the Word of God, was Christ putting his arms on those pieces of wood and saying, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
Remember, everybody was always like, how does Quivers remember scriptures like that? But like I shared with you now, the previous one, that I found this Bible, and it's like, and I remember how we write. But now when you say take a Bible and scribble, I would wake up in the morning and it's looked like Jesus and Quivers at a party. I always thought, I said to him, you're not normal. I woke up like this, and he said, I've quickly been through Corinthians and Galatians. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I read two verses
snoring.
and I'm sleeping. I'm like, you're not normal. I actually told him so.
Yeah.
But then there's always papers lying around. I had boxes of papers and notes, and I'm like, I don't know, should I throw it away? I sort of feel guilty. Eventually I had to. But now his notes is so different to mine. Mine is pictures.
Yeah.
But you've got to find.
You're perfect.
You've got to find where God speaks to you, where it enters you.
Yeah. It's the same as studying for school, studying for exams. Some people study with pictures. Some people write everything out.
But you have to.
But you have to actually apply.
Read.
You have to apply.
Yeah.
You have to do something.
Yeah.
And faith
It's
comes
like a
by
diet.
hearing. And if you don't hear,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't sit and listen, you're not going to hear.
Yeah.
My wife fights with me about that. You never listen to me. So we actually have to sit. And I think the old people had it sort of right, where if somebody was speaking to you, you had to look them in the face.
Yeah.
And too often today, with these social media junkies and that, you can speak to the kids, and their heads down, and they're texting, and they're saying yes, yes, no, no. And they don't have a clue what's going on, but they actually have to do something to apply.
But he says the word is like a mirror, and when you look into it, you'll be changed.
Yeah.
And he says, we do not know what we'll be, but when we see him, we'll see him face to face.
Yeah.
The face Moses couldn't see, and I just love it when you say, and I think when the word really comes to you and enters you, isn't that just like seeing his face? Jesus Christ was this face.
Yeah. And
I love this face.
mean, there's Moses and Joshua in the tent, and I've preached on it, where Moses was with God face to face. Then Moses leaves the tent to go and chat to the people of Israel. Where was Joshua? He stayed in the tent. You think Joshua didn't see God face to face? Come on. If you're in that close a presence, you have to feel the presence of God. You have to see the presence of God. And I would say the conference before Prophet Kubus died, we did the signage on your bus.
Oh, yeah.
That was the November.
Yeah.
And we were doing, I think it was 4 of your vehicles. We were doing stickers. And I was sitting in the front row with him. And all the youngsters were working on the stage.
Yeah.
Putting up banners and working on lights and all this kind of thing.
Very busy.
Very busy. And he said, come sit next to me. And I sat a chair away from him. So he sat in the middle. There was a chair like today. COVID rules. There's a chair gap. And then I sat there. I couldn't get up because the presence of God was so in that place. It was like my guys were working. I actually couldn't care if they messed up on the job or did the job perfectly. But I was taking in the presence of God.